on anything, our training series was inspired by all of the calls that we've gotten recently about how difficult it's been for some users to create and modify Swiftpage templates. And since Swiftpage purchased Act from Sage, getting help has been much more challenging for sure. So today we're going to cover how to leverage your Swiftpage subscription to help you get more leads and more customer insight. So here's how it's going to work. This training is being recorded, and you will automatically receive the recording. You don't have to ask us. It's going to come automatically tomorrow, including the slide deck that we're going to be using. And any resources that we talk about will also be sent to you. On your screen, you should see a meeting panel, which has a place for you to enter any questions. And we'll be monitoring that as we go. We'll save time for Q&A at the end, of course, as well. We try to keep our sessions to 60 minutes so that we're on time, as we promised. So at the end, we'll let you know when our time is up. We'll officially end the meeting. However, if you still have questions, we'll stay on a bit longer, and then those questions will be part of the recording if anybody else needs to drop off. So Todd, am I pushing or you're okay? So there's Todd and I. Here's our agenda for today. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about why surveys and web forms have anything to do with more leads in your business and increasing the size of your customer list. Then we'll jump into how to create Swiftpage web forms for your website and how to create Swiftpage surveys to help you grow your customer and prospect list so you have more people to sell to. Then how to track the responses. It's done the same way for both features. And then we have a special offer at the end, and of course we'll take questions. So let's jump into it. Okay, Todd, I'm now not moving, so go ahead and move me. All right. So do you think that your list is big enough, your list in ACT in your database, is it big enough to support you in the style to which you would like to grow accustomed? For example, does your website generate enough leads that then get put into ACT? Do you feel like you have control over how much website traffic you're getting? Are you happy with the rate that your website converts visitors who do come into leads? And then are the leads that you are generating turning into customers for you? So more web forms on your site, so more offers. Act like an unpaid salesperson who can work for you 24/7 for free. No benefits, no time off. All you have to do is stick them up there, and you're going to reap some new results that you don't have currently coming in. So I guess the question that we want to basically ask is, do you have a reliable and consistent process in your business for generating and managing leads currently? And Todd, let's take a poll and ask everyone on the call to participate. So click the answer that most represents your business currently. How many web forms are on your website right now today? Is it 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 or more? So go ahead and vote. 1 vote per person. And then we will see what kind of answers we get and what the answers mean. So Todd, how's our status on that poll?
It looks good, so here I'm going to close that.
All right, poll is closing. Thanks for your votes. And exactly as we thought. So the majority of people on the call, over 80%, have 1 or 2 forms. And let me guess, those are probably a Contact Us page, maybe a newsletter sign up. Good for you, and the rest of you who answered 3 to 4. That's excellent. So why did I ask that question about how many forms that you have? So Todd, can you put us back in our presentation and skip over to the next? Yep. It's been proven that you can increase your lead flow by about 30 to 40% if you add more web forms. And you might think, well, what else is there? If I've got those two or if I've come up with those four, these are some suggestions of other things that you can, and don't worry about writing it down, it's going to be in the slide deck that we send you. But these are some other examples of web forms that you can create. And if you're already a Swiftpage subscriber, you have the ability to do this right now for no extra charge in your Swiftpage account. So why would you not want to optimize as many different web forms as you can, throw them on every page of your website, and see what happens. Test it out over the next few months. See which offers are producing more results. The ones that aren't producing, get them off, put some new ones on there, and it's not going to be that hard once you know how to do it. So that's what we're going to spend time on doing today. So for this first part, I'm going to turn it over to you, Todd, and let you show everybody how to create web forms.
Okay. So there's 3 ways of doing this. We have the easy, advanced, and technical way. I'm going to start with the easy way. Swiftpage has forms already set up in the system, and you can just go in and modify those slightly, adding in your own questions and changing the colors. So if I flip over to Swiftpage, so here is what a Swiftpage form looks like. Their generic form that when you first open up the program. Pretty simple. We've got a few questions with submit button, and it's kind of a plain looking form. If I flip over to the back end and I look at that, so here is our account. This is when you go click on the home button, you get into Swiftpage. This is the surveys, so that's where we are. I control it by these buttons up the top. So I start at the far left and I work my way to the right. So the first one is if I want to create a new web form, I click the new button. It pops up asking me to give it a name, and then it has, here's all of our forms, but if you were starting out, you would just have a couple simple samples. So we can select a sample and then start with that template. So now that I have my sample or my form created, I click on the next tab, and this is where I go in and design it. So I can add additional questions. So I can type in the question up here at the top, select what type of results it should have. So if it's a short fill in the blanks, or yes, no, true, false, or multiple choice, you can put all of those down here at the bottom. And so that's adding the questions. Once you have the questions in there, you edit them. So I can adjust what order they go in. So I can click on the arrows up, arrow down, and move the questions around. I can even require them. So I just check the checkbox if I want to require a question. I can make them side by side. So there's a few things that you can adjust in here as well. One of the things that we do recommend is adding a source code to every form. So if we add a question, call it referred by, that's the source field in ACT, but you can call it whatever you want. So call it source, or if you have your own field already set up that you want to put that information into. So I give it a name, I make it short fill in the blank, and here is where I'm going to control what goes into that field. So this is the default answer, and I'm going to put in a value in here that I want to control, or I want to put into that field when it comes in. So we always recommend starting it with web form. So you type in web form dash, and then put in the value you want for the actual field or the form name. So that way, this is the information that's going to go into the referred by field in ACT. And when I submit that, it will take me back to the, I'll go back to the survey design. And I'm going to edit this. So on step 2, I'm going to edit that. Here is my new field, but I want to hide it from the customer. So I don't want to ask the customer for that information. I want to hide it, and that way that value just automatically goes into that on that field. So I'll show you a little bit later on what we're going to use that for as well. So But that's pretty much it. So I create the new survey here with the new button. I go into survey design, I edit it. There are a few other things that you can control down here underneath it. So I can change the title. Right now it says survey form. I can change the title. I can change the background page. I'll show you that in just a second. And I can even change the colors. So here, the default color is like a purple. So we've changed it here to make it white. So you can change the colors. You can put in hex codes or just type in a name too. So once I have the form created and customized how I want it, if I go back to Survey Management, there's a Test It button right here. And this is the link to that form. So now we can see up here, this is the form that we would send all of our users to, our contacts to fill out that survey. So we can embed that into an email, or we can put that right onto the right onto our website. So we sort of did that on ours. If we go look at our Aviva site, we have two different websites, the Database Viva and Aviva LLC. So here is our Aviva LLC site. And if I scroll down the bottom of the site, there's a Contact Us page. And if I hover over it, I don't know if you can see at the bottom, but it's actually going to take me to the Swiftpage page. So I click on that. This is a Swiftpage form. Now this is similar to the one I just created, except for this is using step number 2. So if I look at step number 2, if I go back to my slide here, we're now moving to step number 2, which is advanced Swiftpage form. So the difference between the easy and advanced is we modified the background of this page to put in our own logo and to kind of customize it a little bit to make it a little closer to what our site looks like.
Todd, so, do you want to point out what the URL is of this page too? Talk about that.
Yeah. So the URL, we're actually on Swiftpage. Swiftpage is your site now. And what we do is we click on the link, or we put the link onto our page. It takes them over to Swiftpage. Once they fill us out, they're redirected right back to Aviva. So most of the time they don't even realize that they're leaving our website at all. Swiftpage captures everything and then just redirects them right back to our website. So, but it's the same form. So if I flip back here to my surveys, I'm going to change my current, and I'm going to go pull up that survey. Web form, sorry. Yep. So if I go to web forms, that one is Contact Us web form. So you can notice how our naming convention is. We have web form, Contact Us. So we always put web form in front of it so we can sort all of our forms together, keep those separate from the surveys and anything else that we have in there. So once I submit that, it takes me to that particular form. We can view that down here at the bottom. This is what it looks like on the page. And essentially it's the same thing as the previous one, except if we come into survey design, we've changed the background page. So the background page is, the default is a simple white background. But we can go in and create our own template within the template manager. So if I flip back over here to the template manager, so if I click on the home button, go to templates, here's our templates. We have a template called webform-survey BK. So you can name it anything you want, but there has to have this survey BK in the name somewhere. Once that survey BK is entered into the name on the surveys tab on the background pages, it will add it to this list here. So here's that web form survey BK. So all it's doing is it's looking for a survey BK in the name that adds it to this drop-down list, and you could select it from your background or for your background page. So the template is fairly simple. All it is, if I edit that or preview that, I'll just preview it. All it is a simple image at the top with our logo, and it has this mail merge field in it, where it says FCE survey here. So this is where it's telling you a survey. So anything outside of that, it will just print exactly as it is. So it has our contact information at the bottom of it. But everything else is it would print just like it is, and it will put the survey right into that mail merge field. So that's all it is. You just need to remember to name the survey or the template survey BK, have that in the name somewhere, and have this mail merge field within the template as well. Once you do that, you can then on the survey select it as the background page, and it'll add all of that in, and you'll see that we have our contact information here at the bottom. So the survey goes in between. Okay. So once we have created that survey, we're going to continue on our steps up here at the top. So we've gone through survey management, survey design. Now I'm going to go to survey result options. So this tab will tell Swiftpage what to do after somebody fills out that form. So the first thing you have is an autoresponder. So an autoresponder is an email that is immediately sent right back to the contact as soon as they fill out that email. So if I can check anything that I want to include in this. So here I can do, this is a drip marketing campaign. So if I want to launch them immediately on the drip marketing campaign, I can select that here. I can select to add them or update them in the ACT database. You have two options here, whether if the contacts they're filling this out are going to be new to your database, you would select List Builder. If they're already in your database, likely already in your database, and they're going to update their information, you select List Updater. If you select List Updater and they do not exist in your database, it'll still add them as a new record. So it doesn't make a whole lot of difference which one you select. It'll still update or add to them. But just select the one that's most likely that's going to occur. And then you select your ACT database. So, and then the last one is the survey landing page. This is the page that they're redirected to after they fill out the form. So once they submit that, we would redirect them back to a page on our site. So a lot of times I'll have all of these checked, but sometimes I won't launch them on a drip campaign or I won't send them autoresponder. So one of those are not. Usually we're doing an update and we're redirecting them somewhere else. If you do not check the survey landing page, it'll take them to a default page that just says something like, thank you for filling out our form. And that's it. They just close out of that. So if I submit this, it will then take me through each one of these and ask me to fill out the information for that. So for the email acknowledgement, this is the autoresponder that is immediately sent right back to them. This is a text-only email, so you actually put text into this message down here at the bottom, and this is the information that will be sent back to them. So if this form is for a download or something like that, where you would put a link within this message where they can click on it and download that that PDF or whatever it is. So here's the subject message. So that's the autoresponder, the email immediately going back. The next one is the drip marketing campaign. So what form or what drip marketing campaign to send them to. So here's a list of all of our drip campaigns, and we do the same thing with this one where we name the drip campaign's web form initially with the dash and what they are. So we can easily go down all our web forms, select the one that we want to sign them up for. So I select that drip campaign and submit that. So that as soon as they fill out that form, they're immediately launched on that drip campaign starting on that day. And the third one is our ACT field. This is what field we want to put the information from the form into. So it lists all of our survey questions or form questions, and we select then what field they're going to go to. You can use the notes or history as well. So here we have, we're putting it into our history, and then we select our different fields. And here at the bottom, you see here's our referred by. This is again hidden from our the contact. So if we look at our form, there is no question down there at the bottom for that. It's hidden, but it has a referred by that will go into the referred by field where they, now once they submit that, we know which forms they filled out on our website. So we select the fields that we have, and this has a drop-down list with every field in your ACT database. You can select any field you want. and then submit that. And here we have where to redirect them to once they fill that out. So if we want to redirect them back to the home page or to a thank you page on our website, wherever we want to redirect them to, we put that URL in here. So submit that, and we're complete. So we went through our 4 different steps there. So that is a survey result option. This is telling Swiftpage what to do after they filled out the form. So that's the last step, because the next one is the survey responses, and this would just list all the people that filled it out. When somebody fills out the form, Swiftpage holds that information until you download that into your Act database. So Lori's going to show you that in a little bit, what to do with that. So that is, let me go back to my slides here. That is the second one. So the first one was just to use the default form within Swiftpage. The second one was to create a background to more resemble your look and feel of your website, and then select that background image, background template for the Swiftpage form. The last one, this one's a little bit more technical. If you can embed the forms within your own site, and that way they look exactly like your site because they're actually embedded within it. You do need to have a little bit of technical knowledge to be able to do that. Let me pull that back up here. So here is our database Viva site, and that's kind of how we do that on it. We have a form over here on the right of this page. This is a Swiftpage form, but it's embedded directly into the website. That's why it has that look and feel of the site. So the way you do that is if we go back to our survey, and I'm going to click on the Test It button right here. I'm on the Survey Management tab now, and so I'm going to click on the Test It button to actually view this form. So this is what the form looks like within Swiftpage. Now I'm just going to right-click and View Page Source. So I'm actually looking at the HTML code in the back end of the site, and I can come in here and grab the code for the form, and I can actually paste it then. So up here is a table. I can grab, I don't know if I can, there we go. I can grab all of this all the way down the bottom, everything within this table, copy it out, paste it right into my site. In our case, we pasted it into a sidebar over here on the right. And then once it's on the site, I can then go in and adjust the style to make it look like this one does. So you have to know a little bit about doing that on your site as well. But you can paste the table right into your site, go in and adjust the look and feel of that table to get it to match your site exactly. So you may already have that too. Once you paste that in, the style sheet may take over and do that automatically for you. But if not, you may need to tweak it. But once it's on your site, you can pretty much do whatever you want with the look and feel of it. You just got to leave the fields and the form information alone, so that it still will redirect you to Swiftpage. Once they fill it out, redirects to Swiftpage. Swiftpage captures all the information and redirects them right back. They don't ever see the Swiftpage side of it at all then. So that one's a little more technical, but it can be done if you want to paste your forms right into your site. All right, Lori, I think that's it.
All right. I didn't see any questions come over, but if you have any, feel free to type them into your chat box and we'll get to them. So I want to confirm that everybody realizes that this is like so amazing to me that Swiftpage makes it possible for you to not only do the web forms, but to do more advanced surveys. And it's the same, it's pretty much the same function. A web form is a survey, but a customer survey, for example, might just contain more details and more options for answers that somebody coming to your web page may not be willing to take the time to answer. But you can certainly send out a survey through your email account. So the reason for a survey is some of these questions here, but the best reason for doing a customer survey is to, well, there's several reasons, but to get information back that you can use as testimonials, and testimonials can be put onto your website, they can be sent out in emails, they can be put in your email signature at the bottom of your emails that go out. Most people love the idea of getting testimonials, but they don't have an easy way to get them. Surveys are a great way to ask the question that's going to elicit the kind of information that can become a testimonial. More importantly, you can ask questions that help you determine if you're offering the right products, the right mix of products and services to the right target audience of your list. You know, most of us have multiple ways that we can do things in our business, and rather than us coming up with how we think we should be selling things, it would be so much easier if we could sell things that people actually want to buy. So we, as the maker of the products and services, don't always have the best idea of what a customer thinks. In fact, most times we're way off base. So if we just simply ask a few really good questions, we can come up with insightful ways to tweak what we offer and give better choices so that sales can improve. So, let me go back. This is, I've talked about this before in some of our other trainings. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail than I have before about how we did this, but twice a year we send out a survey to select groups in our database, and this was one that we did at the beginning of the year where we offered a free Mardi Gras mask. I think this went out in January. So we offered a free Mardi Gras mask to the first 50 people who answered the survey. So there was a mad rush for everybody trying to become one of the 50, and we found out that we had a lot of people on our list who were not classified at all, and when they're not classified, it's hard to know what communication they should receive. So we got them to kind of raise their hand and say, this is the kind of customer or prospect that I am, these are the kinds of things that I'm interested in, and as a result of doing that, we picked up 300 more subscribers to our newsletter. I was able to pick up a couple of speaking engagements. That was something I was doing at the time. We had people who came out and said, I need a price for this, that, or the other, and we collected about a dozen testimonials. So what we did with the testimonials was collected them into kind of a brag sheet, and that brag sheet now goes out with every quote that we send, and it's sort of a built-in reference sheet. So we rarely get asked for references anymore because this is already going out, and if we need anything more formalized, then we can take care of that on a case-by-case basis. But this just becomes one more piece of the quote package that goes out as a complete, really we know our stuff because these are all the customers who told us that we did, kind of a point of view that we're sharing with the customers who do business with us. So I want to kind of cover the way that you create the survey is the same way that Todd just showed you, but there's some strategies involved that I think can help make your survey results much more strong. So we follow what I call the inverted pyramid structure of asking questions, and probably it's safe to say the question that you want the answer to the most is the one that you A, shouldn't probably ask, or B, it should be way down at the bottom of the page. So you can't make people work too hard. In my case, we were offering an incentive, but you want to start with the easiest questions first. So those are going to be yes or no questions where people just have to click a box. And Swiftpage makes that available as one of the answer choices. The next one would be a multiple choice, so all they have to do is read a list, figure out which one most applies, and click that button. The next one would be all that applies, where you have a checklist of different answers, and you're saying you can pick more than one, so tell me which ones apply to you, and they click, 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 and then those are done. The next way that people can answer are short, open-ended questions. It's kind of free flow, whatever's off the top of their head, that's what they're going to type in, and most people are super busy, so you're going to get a lot of cryptic, abbreviated, text-worthy kinds of answers in there, so you don't need to keep a long open-ended box, which are two choices that Swiftpage gives you. But in some cases, people really do want to spill their guts and tell you what's on their mind. So depending on the question, you might want to have a longer open-ended answer box for them to type their answer into. These last two are typically the ones that I see people making the biggest mistakes with, where they'll have a survey of 20 questions and everything is open-ended, meaning you want your customer to write you volumes about what they're thinking, and they're just not going to do that. So you have to be a little bit more creative in the way that you come up with how you want to ask for the answers. You want to be really tightly focused on getting the answer that you want and not having the answer be something that is not at all what you meant to ask, because people really don't spend the time reading the way that they should, and they're going to just take the interpretation at face value the way they read it. So you want to force them into the funnel of answering the question in the exact proper way. And the first few, actually, when you don't ask open-ended questions, these are the kind of questions that can be great for helping you put together industry studies. So if you send it out to 100 people, you get 20 people who answer the survey, and they answer, 30% pick question answer A, 5% picked answer B, kind of like our poll. You can now do percentages where you can say, industry studies show that X% of your target audience does, or of your peers do this or that, or pick this or that. And you can kind of be the subject matter expert on industry studies by just sending out a survey. So that's another really cool way of using a survey. And then lastly, the contact information, the way Swiftpage works, you have to put 2 pieces minimum. You have to have an email address, and that's what Swiftpage uses to match up the answers back into your database. And you have to have a first name, but when you ask for a first name, I always like to ask for a last name as well. You don't want to use contact name. Swiftpage does not have a way to match up contact name to your database, even though that is an ACT field. You have to split it out and ask for a first name and a last name. So it is one extra field that your customer is going to have to answer, but that's the way the survey works. Okay, so I don't know if you remember in the invitation that we sent out to today's training, I said that I would give the first X number of people, I don't remember even what I said now, a copy of our 25 survey questions that we have found work best to get the best results. And I started thinking about it, and I thought, really, anybody who wants it can have it. So there's my email address if you want me to send it to you. If you were one of the first, whatever I said, I think I said 10 people who registered for training today, I'll still send it to you. You don't have to email me. But if you want to make sure that you get it, go ahead and email me, and I'll make sure that you get a copy of it. It's really good. We've tested it many, many times over the years. A lot of them are live questions that we've put into our clients' surveys, and they elicit the, really good results. Yeah, you would know that. Thank you, Todd. You wouldn't know if you're the first 10. So, okay, go ahead and email me if you want to make sure you get one. So these are the 3 types of questions that I like to ask in customer surveys when we do them. Some variation of what is your favorite feature, service, or product. That's pretty specific. Favorite is a favorite. Tell us a story about how our company helped you, made your life better, solved a problem. I love those. Those do take a little bit more effort on the part of the responder, but when you can get those are the great testimonial generators. And another favorite of mine, if you were the CEO of the Database Diva, what's the first thing you change for the better? So that's a nice way of saying what's driving you crazy about what we're doing and how can we fix it, but it's phrased in a much better way. So feel free to scarf those off, and if you want the other ones, I'm happy to send them. Okay, so tracking responses. You do all this great work, and how do you know if it's actually working or not? So let me cover that. And the first way that you'll know is you can set up Swiftpage to send you an email alert of every question on the form every time somebody fills it out, and you probably can't see this very well, but this is just a standard form from Swiftpage, but the first sentence is, a web-based user has filled out the survey form, whatever the name is that you give it, as follows. And then it's time and date stamped. It's all filled out with an answer. Any questions that they've answered, you can see what they've typed. That's real time. As soon as they hit submit, you're going to get that email. And you can have that email come to you directly in the email account that you've got set up on your Swiftpage account, or you can change that and have it go into a general pool if you've got a Salesforce you want to keep up with those. However you want to do that, there's an option for that. So that's one way that you can track your results, and that's surveys or web form submissions. The second way is to download the results directly into ACT, and this is a manual process. It's not an automated process, and this is a copy of the Swiftpage dialog box that comes up in ACT when you click on the Swiftpage button, Swiftpage icon, and it will list all of your surveys and web forms on the left. That's why Todd mentioned earlier we like to use a naming convention so that these names line up and they're not scattered alphabetically and we can't remember what we were doing. You may not have that problem, but we're now at the point where we have probably close to 100 web forms and surveys floating around in our account. Some of them are active, some of them aren't. Some of them we've used before, we don't want to get rid of them, so it's really important that we have a good naming convention so we can remember what we did and which ones we like. So over here you can see which ones were list builders, which ones were list updaters, how many responses you got, and then not applied means you haven't downloaded them yet if there's a number in here, or NA if you chose not to download your responses. So here on this screenshot, the Contact Us form showed 251 people have filled out that form. We still had one that we hadn't applied yet. Now you're still going to get the email alert, so if it takes me a couple of days to get this downloaded into our database, that's okay. It's sitting here waiting for me, but I have one more that I need to download into Swiftpage, from Swiftpage into ACT, and the way that you do that is right here with sometimes this one's highlighted, depends on the survey that you're doing, or this one, and you can also save them to a file, but you can also just go into the account online and see your answers there. But if I were to click this button here, Add Contacts to ACT, then the cloud sends me my data through my ACT database, and it appears in whatever fields I've now matched up to in that contact record. And Todd showed you how to do the mapping between the fields that you're asking for and the fields in your ACT database. So once you get that mapped up, the answers know where to go. They line up nice and beautifully, and then you can run reports out of them in ACT, or you can just look at each individual responder. So that's number 2. Number 3, you're probably going to want to set up a dynamic group in ACT to track leads, and you can also track the survey results. It depends on what you're going to do with the survey results, but you definitely are going to want to track your website, your web forms off your website when those come in. And Todd, I'm going to let you talk about this.
Okay, so once you create a group, you give it a name. Ours is called Website Forms Hot Leads. So there's an Add Remove Contacts button highlighted here. So this is the Add Remove Contacts, is where we control what contacts go into this group. So I click on that. This little window pops up, and the bottom option here is where we go in and edit criteria. So this is kind of an old one, but we still use it the same way, where contacts, so our field is a contact field. The field name is referred by, so remember we created the web form value that went into the referred by field. So referred by, we're restoring all of the values from which forms that they're filling out. So we go in referred by, and it says contains, and then we choose what value we want. So we can either do this. If we want all of the web form, no matter which form they fill out, we could just do referred by contains web form. And because we had named it web form initially, web form dash, then the form name, all of these, all the values for any form that's downloaded in that database will have web form in it. So we can just do referred by contains web form, and that's every contact that has filled out a web form. Or we can narrow it down more, so we can do what referred by equal to, and then put in a specific name of the form if we want to as well, or multiple names. So you can create as many as, or a few forms that populate this group just based on the criteria that you select in the group itself. So just go into the group, add the criteria, add referred by, and then put in which values you want to include within this group. You can also change that around as well. So as part of the examples of we've already having the surveys, you can grab all of the contacts that answered a specific question in a specific manner. So if you just set up your, when you set up your form, when you set up your survey and you selected the value or the field that the value was going to go into for that question, you then use that field as part of your criteria of this group.
So let me give you an example of that, because that's a really good one. I forgot about that. That's a good one. So let's say one of your survey questions is, are you planning to do or buy X in the next 6 months? Yes or no? So what Todd is saying is you can then set up a dynamic group of everyone who answers yes to that question and have it go into its own group for follow-up. Go ahead, Todd.
Okay, yeah, so you would just select the field that has that value going into it, add that as part of your criteria, so that field equals to yes, or whatever it happens to be. And then that will populate that group automatically, and anybody adding or selecting that will automatically get added to that group.
Do you want to talk about our naming convention on our groups here, too, the way that I did this?
Yeah, so we, well, in this particular case,
we're big on naming conventions.
Yeah. There's a couple of ways of doing this. So depending on exactly what you're using that group for, we typically will still put web form in the name of the group. So it'll have web form dashed, and then either the name of the specific form or groups of forms, however, whatever naming convention you want to determine which forms you're populating that group with. So that would be web form dash. In this particular case, though, these were hot leads that we wanted to follow up with immediately. So Lori put asterisks in the front of it. That pushes those groups to the very top of our group list. So if you look up the group list right above the this window here, you can see Lori likes those a lot too because we have a ton of them. So, but those get collected at the top of the group list. No matter what other groups you have, those get pushed down, and we see these primary ones at the very top. So anything that we want to follow up with immediately, so if they're interested in purchasing immediately, we want to make sure that we're always in that group. We put an asterisk in front of it that pushes up to the top. That's easily recognized. As soon as we get in there, we can click on that and see if there's anybody new added. You can also see over on the right-hand column, or right-hand panel over here, we added create date as a field on our list here. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but it is actually sorted in descending order based on create date. That pushes all of the new entries up to the top. So as soon as we click on this group, we immediately see all of the contacts that have recently been added to this group.
And which forms they filled out to get into the database.
The forms, right. We have the referred by listed as well. So right next to it, referred by listed, shows us which forms that they filled out.
Now, sometimes you will get current customers coming back to your site and filling out forms, and they may already be in your ACT database. So, Todd, how do we track those?
So we actually have two different fields that we use for that. We have this, I don't know if you can see that's kind of covered up, but there's a source code field that we use for that as well. And it's more of a manual process, but when you download the contacts into the database, if there's a match, Swiftpage will pop up a window that says, here you have a match of these two different contacts. Are they the same, and do you want to merge them together? Well, if they are the same, they may have already filled out another form, and they may already have a value in the referred by. So in that case, you're making a note of that? Is that what you're doing, Lori?
Yeah, unfortunately, we have to do a manual note because I want to make sure that I retain, people who are on your list who are actively engaged with you. They're filling out a lot of forms. They're downloading a lot of things. They're contacting us, form users. You want to keep track of all of that in ACT because those are who the hot prospects are at any given time. So I don't like that ACT, I don't know if it's ACT or Swiftpage. Swiftpage overwrites the value. Yeah, that's true. So I don't like that it overwrites the value that's already in there. I want it to append, but right now it doesn't do that. So as you manually download the scores and the results from your e-marketing efforts, I just kind of make a note when somebody's done more than one thing and I go back and I adjust it.
So she just writes it down. Once the merge is complete, she goes back, looks those contacts up, and adds those values back to the referred by, so it has multiple values in it. And so you can kind of see there's one down here where we have an actual person that referred this person, plus then they also filled out a form on our site. So that's kind of what it does then. So you have both values in that referred by. Or we use source code as well, so you could put it in there too.
So there may be a need to add a custom field. Is that what you're saying, or is source?
You could either add a custom field and put it in there, or you can just put them all in referred by, separated by commas or semicolons.
Okay. All right. So we have a special going on until the end of May. We covered a lot of things today. Some of it is pretty easy. You can do it yourself. Some of it you may want to be a little bit more integrated or have the look and feel really match your website. So we're offering a $50 off coupon to help you with your Swiftpage web form setup or launching your first survey. And if that's something that interests you, please contact us and let us know, and we'll be happy to help. And I think we're ready to move on to questions. No questions. Okay, let's go back to here. And what didn't we cover, Todd? Did we get all of our little points in there that we wanted to talk about?
I think so.
If anyone has questions, please put them in the question box for us. And it could be any stage of sending out a survey or putting a web form onto your website and how to track it. And if you get to the point where you don't have any questions today, but another one comes up later, feel free to shoot us an email. We like to answer as many questions as we can regarding the trainings that we're doing. That's how we know that we're connecting with you on what good stuff this is to help you with your business. So, Todd, Pierre wants to know, can you show us how the survey data enters into ACT? You want to go back to that one?
Yeah, so let's see. Oh, how you download it into ACT, is that?
Yep.
Okay, so when you click on the Swiftpage icon in ACT, it pops up a full window. You click on the Survey tab, whether it's a survey or web form, it's all stored in surveys in Swiftpage. And you just go down and select the form. In this case, we've got this new customer blueprint. We have 5 people waiting to be applied to the database. So we can see that over here on the Not Applied column. Click on it. Now, depending if it's a list builder or list updater, you're going to have one of these 2 buttons. So this one is a list builder, so we're adding contacts to the database. If it were a list updater, it would say update add contacts. Essentially, they do the same thing, so it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. But because it's going to check for duplicates, whichever one you choose. And again, that's based on email address. So if I click the Add Contact to ACT, once I click that, you'll see a progress bar start to appear, and it's going to start downloading the information into the ACT database. I don't really have that as a slide here, but it can take a while to do that depending on how many you don't have applied yet. So you may need to give it some time, let it run, let it process, and it'll go through one pass of the whole list so that it will check for duplicates. Once it's gone through the whole pass, it'll add any new ones in, and then it'll pop up the duplicates after that. It shows you 2 columns, one with the new information from Swiftpage, one with the current information from within ACT. You can compare the two and tell it whether that's actually a duplicate or not. And if it is, it'll merge the data together. If not, you can just skip it or add it as a new contact, either way. So you tell it for each one of those which way you want it to do it. And then that's where Lori also makes a note of the referred by. If that value is already filled in and it's a different value from the current form that they filled out, she'll make a note of what contact it is and what the value is in that referred by, so that she can go back later on and add that value back into referred by.
Another tip for doing these downloads is make sure that you are at the computer that sent the survey out. It doesn't really matter on a web form, does it, Todd?
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think it matters at all for that. So, but yeah, for the surveys, if you send the survey out as part of an email template, you want to download the results of that back in the same page. That's especially true on the results tab. So for doing an email blast, you want to download the results back from the same computer that you sent it out on. The web forms, though, no, that doesn't make any difference.
All right, and then another question, can you show how to map the survey questions to the ACT fields again?
Okay, sure. So if we go back into our survey, so here is our survey. Again, we have our tabs going across the top. The mapping is done under the survey result option. So again, this is the information telling Swiftpage what to do after somebody fills out the form. So we click on the survey result option. I'm going to uncheck the others so we don't have to go through all of that. But here is ACT, the database update. So as long as I have that checked, I hit submit. It then pops up all of the questions. Here are all the survey questions. And then these are drop-down lists with all of the ACT fields from my database. I just go in, I select each field for each survey question. And I can also choose history or note, or even none. I can just leave it so it doesn't say recorded at all. But then again, here's your referred by at the bottom. So pretty simple. It'll automatically populate with all the fields from your ACT database. So you'll get a list of all of them. If you add a new one, the next time you come here, that will be added to this list as well. So once I'm done, I hit submit, and that's it.
Okay, and Pierre has one more question. I assume the entry of survey data or bounced emails or opt-outs from emails does not come back into ACT automatically. And that is correct. None of the things that Todd just showed you are automatic. You have to initiate them manually, and opt-outs and bounces are a separate function to manage from survey results. They don't have anything to do with survey results, actually.
Yeah, that would be your template when you're sending out the email blast initially, and all of that would be recorded in the results of the email blast. So yeah, that wouldn't have anything to do with surveys.
All right, very good. If anyone has any other questions, we'll give you another 30 seconds to ask us. Otherwise, Todd, you want to flash that offer back up? And keep us in mind if you need the help for getting multiple web forms up on your site. It's money in the bank. It's really worthwhile. Whether you do it yourself, you have us help you get them up there, start seeing a lot more leads coming back in. We will see you in 2 weeks for another training session. This one is on how to use your Swiftpage subscription to help you bring people to events, live events, and webinars. And we've been doing that as a primary way of generating leads for our own company for many years. So now I want to share some secrets about how we do that. So hope to see you there, and thank you everybody for joining us today. Talk with you soon.